is a strength coach for the New York Jets, Bryan Dermody. Nicely done, Bryan. The coach practices what he preaches.
My name is Bryan Dermody. I'm training for the Pro Deadlift at the 2016 Arnold Classic. This will be the 7th time that I've competed in the Pro Deadlift at the Arnold Classic. Oh! So there's a number of things that make the Arnold Classic just a unique competition in and of itself. I mean, first of all, it's the biggest sports festival in the world, actually. There's 250,000 spectators that come to it. So in terms of sort of the hoopla and just kind of the atmosphere that's created, there's a kind of a buzz in the air because people come from all over the world. There's thousands of competitors. Like I said, there's 250,000 spectators. There's hundreds of exhibitors. And there's something for everybody if you're a fan of strength sports. What makes the actual competition unique is it's really as high as it gets in terms of deadlift competitions. It's really an invite-only competition. Kind of the criteria for the Arnold are that you have to pull at least 320 kilograms, which is 705 pounds. You have to do that at a national level competition. And then of course you have to be drug-free because it's run by the USAPL and IPF, which is a drug-free and drug-tested organization. You get to compete against the best deadlifters in the world. And man, for a typical competition, even if you go to national championships, there's usually some pretty high-level competition there. But this is sort of the cream of the crop. These are sort of hand-picked people. I mean, we'll see people from Norway, obviously a ton of people from the United States, some people from New Zealand, Australia, Poland, all over the world. You're going to see a lot of the best deadlifters in the world kind of converge on Columbus. And how they judge the Pro Deadlift at the Arnold Classic is pretty unique too. There's actually no weight classes. There's a men's class and there's a women's class, and they give out really 2 sets of awards. One set of awards goes to just the heaviest pull, regardless of body weight. So, you know, an 800 pull by a 200-pound guy, beats in a 799-pound pull by a 350-pound guy. The other way they do it is by Wilks formula. It's kind of every man for himself sort of situation, no weight classes. Started weightlifting in 8th grade. Actually, my uncle bought me kind of one of those old Universal sets with like a weight stack where you could do like 20 different exercises on the same piece of equipment. I kind of caught the bug. I'm not proud to admit this, but I started subscribing to Flex magazine at the same time for a couple years. And then after 8th grade, I got into football in high school. And not only did I have to lift for football, of course, because the team did, but I just absolutely loved it. I was just fascinated that the hand you're dealt with the human body is not the hand that you have to play with. You can make it bigger and faster and stronger and more agile and all this stuff, and was really hooked. And so, yeah, lifted all throughout high school, then went to play college football at a Division III school in Wisconsin, Latham College, lifted 4 years there, and was done with football, and I was like, man, I still got this competitive bug. Like, what do I do with this? Well, it turns out that my last couple years of college, I interned as a strength and conditioning coach with University of Iowa football. Chris Doyle, their head strength coach to this day, was a pro strongman at the time. He got me into a couple amateur strongman contests, and I was hooked. And so, ended up doing strongman for about 10 years and then transitioned to powerlifting after that. So my first strongman competition would have been the summer of 2001, before my senior year of football. I went to work at the University of Iowa, football strength and conditioning coach after I graduated, and really got into strongman full bore. Chris Doyle, the head strength coach there, who's a pro strongman. We had all the equipment. What we didn't have, we made. We sat in Chris's garage and made boxes for our stones, and we poured concrete Atlas stones into stone molds, and we got tickets for our welding department to make us super yokes and all kinds of stuff. So did about, I think 40 strongman competitions, amateur, over the next 10 years, and absolutely loved strongman because it was different than just lifting weights. It wasn't a barbell or dumbbell every time. It was like, go pull this 18-wheeler 100 feet and try not to throw up afterwards, or go lift these 5 Atlas stones on boxes, which was just fun. There's something, I don't know, just a little bit different about it. There's some mystique behind that sport. As it turns out, there's no drug testing in amateur or pro strongman. And so the best I was able to do, I think I got up to 3rd or 4th in the country in terms of the amateurs. And I was just frustrated because I was training my butt off and I could never reach the top. I was at a National Strength and Conditioning Association conference in January, and I talked to a good friend of mine. His name is Brad Gillingham. He's actually an IPF Hall of Fame powerlifter, deadlifted 800 pounds in competition over 100 times. And I just kind of expressed to him my frustration with strongman, the fact that there was no drug testing in it. And we kind of started talking about my training, and he found out that my deadlift is pretty good. And he said, well, Bryan, he said, why don't you try to qualify for the pro deadlift at the Arnold Classic? And I thought, no way. Like, I could actually do that? That would be sort of the pinnacle of a strength sport. So I kind of put all my eggs in one basket. I said, I'm done with strongman, and transitioned to powerlifting after that. Training for the Arnold's been going pretty well. It was actually a little under a year ago that I injured my back really badly, and it just kind of took a token lift at the Arnold, just to not pull out at the last second out of respect for everybody else there. But I knew things weren't right. I actually tore my SI ligaments. I tore some fascia in my lower back. I had an entrapped nerve in my back, which I still kind of have. After a certain amount of time, and just look at, okay, what hurts? What can I do? What can I do? Now, what's the problem? And so I kind of was able to put together a pretty good rehab program that involved a ton of deep scar tissue work in my lower back to kind of break up that scar tissue that was entrapping my nerves. Involved hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of reps of reverse hypers. It involved a lot of ground-based core training. And it just really involved starting from the ground back up. Interned there in the summers of 2000 and 2001, got a position full-time when I graduated in December of 2001, and then I worked there for 4 years full-time. 2005 was my last year, and then from there I went on to be the head strength coach at Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa, and I loved it. Absolutely loved being head strength coach. The thing about it was, at that level, you don't have a lot of resources to be able to do your job the way you want to do your job. And so after less than 6 months at Drake, my mentor, Chris Doyle, called me. He said, hey, the University of Louisville is actually looking for an assistant director of strength and conditioning for football. And so I left Drake and I took that position. Louisville was great, loved it, great staff, great city, and pretty successful football team. But going into my last year at Louisville in 2009, the athletic director told us we didn't make a bowl game the year before, and he said, hey, if you guys don't make a bowl game this year, you're going to be fired. Not exactly what you want to hear as a football coach. And so, long story short, we didn't win. We didn't get to a bowl game that year, and so our whole football staff was fired after the 2009 season. And as it turned out, I kind of looked into some different options for a job after that. But the one that was really most attractive was an assistant job that had opened up at the New York Jets. And so I went out to the Jets and interviewed. They offered me the job. I took it, and I spent 2 seasons out there with the New York Jets and absolutely loved working with Rex Ryan and NFL athletes. Loved working with Sal Alosi, our head strength coach there. One part of my life that's really important, that really started intersecting with my profession at that point, was just my faith. I mean, I'm a Christian, have a great relationship with Jesus Christ, and my passion just to kind of use my life to help people grow in their faith and just come to know and love Jesus Christ just kind of outran my passion to coach. And so after my second year at the Jets, I went into Rex Ryan's office and I said, Rex, I'm not coming back next year. I'm going to go try and be a pastor of a church. And Rex and I had a great relationship for whatever reason. And so Rex is like, man, I'm kind of sad to hear this. Like, why are you doing this? And I just kind of told him, I said, well, Rex, I said, I absolutely love coaching. I really do. I said, but this is just a little bit bigger. It's a little bit bigger picture. It's a little bit more important to me. And so I want to go do this. I want to go be a pastor. And Rex made it really hard. He ended up offering me the job as the head strength and conditioning coach of the New York Jets. I just had to go with my heart and go and be a pastor of a church. And so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm actually the community pastor of a church in Iowa City called Veritas Church. Absolutely love what I do. Do I miss coaching? Yes. And so every chance I walk into Magni Barbell and I get a chance to coach somebody, I jump at that chance. But I wouldn't trade what I'm doing for anything. I have a wonderful family. My wife, Carrie, I met about 4 years ago. We've been married for about 3 years now. And have one wonderful daughter, Abigail. She's almost 2 years old, and we actually have a child on the way that's due in April. So that'll be our second child. And I've got, to be honest with you, a wife that is pretty unbelievable about supporting what I do. If you want to be good in a strength sport, you guys know this, it takes a lot. 2 big things that are more important to me than powerlifting in life, and one is my relationship with Jesus Christ, and 2 is my family. So the goal at the Arnold Classic is to pull 804 pounds, which is 365 kilos. My personal record on deadlift is 793 pounds, but that was actually almost 4 years ago now. Come competition day, I'm going to open up at 716 pounds. Pretty conservative, but there's no need to blow things out on the first attempt. I think we'll go 760 pounds in the second. And then that puts me within 20 kilograms of 804 pounds. So we'll crank up the music, we'll get jacked up, and we'll see what happens on that third attempt.